Life is an amazing podcast, and it is presented and hosted by myself, Caro, and my sweet dog Sparky. Give it up for him. I hope you're ready. Enjoy. Dear people, welcome back to another episode of Go For Your Life. Happy New Year, people. Happy New Year. I'm here with the amazing, beautiful, and very talented and knowledgeable Barbara Berger from Denmark. Well, you're not from Denmark, but you are in Denmark as we speak. Thank you so much for being with us again, Barbara.
Thank you so much for having me. It's always great fun talking to you. Wow, one of my favorite people on the planet.
It's the same. Yeah, I'm so excited because we actually, so if for those listeners who actually listen all the time, we actually also started the year together, Barbara and I. We kicked off 2020 when we absolutely had no idea what was coming. Yeah.
We were so blessed, right? Ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance is bliss, yes. Mm-hmm. So I thought it would also be really good to sort of take this moment together to reflect. And I think in general, people should do this. Like take a second to reflect anyway at the end of the year, starting at the beginning of the year. And I thought we could just look back because, well, for those of you who don't know, Barbara is a life coach and also a writer, has amazing books, and is helping lots and lots and lots of people to become.
I was just wondering, are we talking mostly to people in Holland?
No, it's I'm kind of global, but this is nice to see though. This is ontwaken.
Yeah, it's called in English. It's called The Awakening Human Being. I have really a lot of books published in Dutch.
Super nice.
So just
looking at it now. So that's good for the Dutch people that are listening from Dutchland.
It's called Praktisch Spiritueel Handbouw.
Hey, wow, look at your Dutch. Look at your Dutch, Barbara.
And how about this one? How do you say that?
Ben je nu gelukkig?
Yeah. Are you happy now?
Are you happy now? Yes.
To live a happy life.
It's amazing.
And then I had the one that you when you found me that fell out on your head.
Yeah. Fast food for the soul. Fast food for the zeal. For the zeal. Yeah, that's exactly the book. That's exactly the one I have. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, so you read it in Dutch first?
Yeah, in Dutch. Yeah. That's the exact book. And then you send me the English one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because this is exactly so our journey together actually started years and years ago. When my dad actually had that in his.
What year was it that you found the book? It's a long time.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a while back because it was the year that my dad passed away. So and he had a lot of books, and actually it was sitting in his book cupboard, and we went through it all, and I was like, huh? And then my mom was actually saying like, yeah, I think it's a book that I once bought, and then I was like, I was just drawn to it. And this was 16, so that's 4 years ago now. Yeah. And I'm really glad that you came on my path like this, and I think you're just speaking to lots and lots and lots of people and helping lots of people and serving lots of people. So I thought it would also be interesting to sort of how are you feeling right now, Barbara, and how is everyone feeling that you're talking to at the moment with where we're at now at the end of this year? Tell us, how are we going? Yeah, exactly, right?
I talk to people every day. That's what I do. I'm a coach, a therapist. So besides writing the book, so everybody, I can say without exception, I can't think of one person who's not really challenged by what's going on in the world. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing that I've noticed now, since this has been going on since the first lockdown we had was in March, that whatever a person's issues were or are to begin with, they're worse. In other words, that this isolation, not having our normal lives, not being able to be out and about, not being able to travel, not being able to go to yoga classes, not being able to go to all of these things, it's like, oh my God. And so people are much more confronted with themselves, you could say. Mm-hmm. So whatever coping strategies we had before to sort of comfort ourselves, soothe ourselves, ease the pain, distract ourselves, a lot of them we just can't do. Mm-hmm. So that's really challenging. And I would say the people who are are living alone or who are feeling who were more isolated to begin with, that's worse. But then I also have noticed I have a lot of couples who come to me. Mm-hmm. People with children where in the lockdown, some families have really been challenged because they're hanging out together all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and couples, it's like usually, you know, he goes to work, she goes to work, the kids go to school, so you get some eating space, but having to be together, working at home. And then I've had like some of the mothers working at home, and then they have to help their kids with the online schools. And so we're talking about serious challenges.
Yeah, and amplifying that's what's already there and is being amplified a lot by Corona, is what you're saying, right? Yeah.
And I mean, for your situation was also really interesting because you decided to leave your whole setup in Portugal and you had all these great plans, and then we're going to move to Holland and you're going to do this, that, and the other. And you did move, and then you got there and suddenly everything was closed. Oh my God, what am I going to do?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I definitely feel like it's something, you know, and for you personally, Barbara, how was it? How has it been for you, and how do you get through it? Because you have two positions. I feel like your own personal position, and then you also are of service all the time to other people. And I'm sure you also need to look after yourself. So how has it been for you?
Well, I would say a good example of what's happened with me is I'm from America, and I was born and raised there. And I don't know how much you know about my background, but I ran away from home when I was 17, 18 years old because my boyfriend got drafted to go to Vietnam, and my father was a very high military person. He worked at the Pentagon, so it wasn't very popular to have a daughter that was against the Vietnam War. But anyway, so I ran away from home, and the Army was after Steve, and then we went underground. It was really before the protest movement got really big in the United States against the Vietnam War. And so we were underground for almost 2 years, and we ended up getting political asylum in Sweden. So that's how I came to live in Denmark. But what I'm trying to say is I had this very traumatic start in the United States and all these, and then there has been this Trump election in America. And a little bit combined with the lockdown, it's been like that really has triggered for me my trauma. From my youthful years, from my running away from home, from my being a black sheep, from my being an outcast, and then so all this stuff with Trump versus Biden and this whole thing of this narcissistic person who lies all the time, what it has done to the basic concept of democracy and the United States of America, which was supposed to be part of the wonderful things that are going on in the world. So I would say that's a good example in my life, how being more time alone and then having these things happen that, you know, just watching CNN was like, oh my God, I just can't watch it, you know? So, yeah. So I've also been challenged.
Definitely. And how do you cope with that when that happens for you?
Well, I think, and that's one of the things that I'm always teaching people about. First of all, we have to understand that the way the mind works, that's what most of my books are about, that we're all been programmed from our background. We all have these different belief systems, and the things that we think about, that we focus on, that determines our experience. So each one of us is living actually in our own subjective bubble of life. But once that is said, then we have, you know, like you had this story with your father, and I've had this with we have different, very traumatic events in our histories, in our life stories. So what do we do about that? First of all, it's really important to understand that it's not just a mental thing, that when we experience trauma, we get an energetic charge in the body, in the system. And because most of us don't know what it is, we know we feel discomfort, we know we feel anxiety or stress or fear or depression, whatever word you want to put on it. We have not been taught, we've never learned how to deal with this energy, this inner state. So we're actually pretty afraid of what happens to us when we feel these powerful emotions. And so most people resist it, or they go into lockdown in themselves. And so in other words, they try to suppress. So what I try to do and teach people, and now I've just written a new book about all of this, I try to teach people, first of all, we have to tell the truth. And that's what people do in sessions to me, like you've done with me also. Tell the truth about what has happened to us. So that's sort of the first step, having the courage to tell the truth, having the courage to own yourself, to own who you are, to take the space that belongs to you, and to respect what your story is. But then that's only the first part. Then there is the energetic part. And that's the part that there's many people who go to therapy or talk therapy or whatever. That's great. I'm not saying it's not good, but if you don't deal with the energetic charge, it's not enough usually. And therefore, I have these techniques. We have also talked about it, you and I, this about letting go. In other words, learning to, instead of resisting the energy, the emotion, whatever it is, that we do the opposite, which is very, very anxiety-provoking in the beginning for most people. In other words, oh, you mean I'm supposed to go there? Oh, you mean I'm supposed to allow myself to feel what I'm actually feeling? And so usually for people who come to me in the beginning anyway, I do this very gently in very small segments, very short, where we just sort of try to sit with the question, how does it make you feel? And then instead of resisting it, that we say, okay, I'm going to allow it. I'm going to allow and accept. In other words, it's really important to understand resistance is what makes the energy actually more powerful in you. It's really important to understand the nature of energy is that it wants to move. And if we allow energy to move, especially in this case of having old repressed energy, it sort of dissipates. It sort of, you release it and it's gone. Because we don't do that, because we're afraid of it, because we haven't learned that it's not dangerous, we hold it back. And so we have this, I always say to people, it helps them to understand that everybody has, like I say, like you have this tank. You have a tank where you have old energy and it's closed. There's a lid on it. And it's all filled up until this energy wants to get out. Yeah. But because we don't allow it to, there's this inner pressure, you could say, this inner feeling of discomfort. Which we can call anxiety, fear, depression, stress. We have these different words, but it's whatever word you put on it, it's discomfort. And so if we're going to do this process, which I do with people, we actually do the opposite. We say, okay, well, I'm going to actually go there, and I'm going to open the lid a little bit. And then it's sort of like a pressure cooker. You have this, energy in there in the pressure cooker, and then you know what a pressure cooker is.
Oh, yeah.
And if you sort of turn the lid a little bit,
exactly. You even hear the whole sound. Yeah,
exactly. Then some of the energy comes out, and everybody who I do this process with, if we just do 5 or 10 minutes or whatever, if they go with it, they experience a great sense of relief immediately, usually. And then I try to explain it. Okay, so we have this like a pressure cooker, this tank with this energy, and so every time we release a little bit of it, the amount of energy we have left, it goes down. We don't have unlimited trauma energy, but it's sort of when we release some of it, the pressure goes down. That means, in other words, if we do this enough, the intensity of what we're feeling, it just gets less. It's not like you forget what happened to you. I mean, you're never going to forget what happened. I'm never going to forget what happened, but it's not, the intensity of the emotion around it gets less, which is really nice.
Yeah, because that's also the text that you were sharing with me, which I actually also used recently in a yoga class, and